So the second song in the production walkthrough is going to be a song called Bury It by our friend Graham. And we're going to do the recording subsequent to these modules, but I wanted to show you the original version of the song, his demo. And so I have the demo mix, and then I have the stems or tracks from that session, and I also have added production elements programming as part of my pre-production phase. So I'm going to just I'm going to show you all those parts and walk you through the process of sorting out a few of these things and preparing for the recording session, and just talk to you about what the demo is and what has been created in terms of programming in the pre-production phase, so that we can maybe shift. I'm looking to shift the not genre so much of what the original song is, but sort of update it a little bit and just give it a different feel. And this is also a good way for me to be able to talk you through some production approaches and us have a bit of a conversation about the way you could adjust the direction and genre of a song by adding some elements before you actually start the recording phase. And this goes back to why I think it's a good idea to have early work tapes and versions of the song, so that you can do this type of work to it before you maybe have musicians come in and commit to some performances, that you're able to sort out some of the direction stuff and perhaps do some of this preliminary programming. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play you a bit of the demo, the mix of it, and we'll listen to it up until maybe the second verse. How about that?
I was on the wrong side of a smoking gun. You better believe I regret more than half that I've done. And I was on the wrong side of a political line, saying yes to all the so-called progress of our time. But then I heard a whisper in my ear, and I'm spending the rest of my life holding on to what I've done. I won't carry the weight of my crimes, yeah. I'm just burying. I won't put out the fire tonight. I light it up and let it burn. I won't silence the truth in the night, yeah. I won't bury it. Oh, I won't bury it. Oh, I was on the inside of a...
Okay, pretty cool tune. It's a very rock tune. Really like it. So what I have here in the session, what I have highlighted here, that's the mix that we were just listening to. I gained it down a little bit just because it's sort of at a finished mastered level right now. It's pretty loud in the track, or pretty loud in the session. So I turned it down a little bit, and then all of these elements here are the stems and tracks for this master. So I'm going to turn the master off, and I'm going to just play you a little snippet of the raw tracks. So sounds like the same thing. It's just not mixed. It's balanced a little bit differently. It's not quite the same thing, but you can hear all the elements working there. So we have that as all the stems, and then all this stuff down here is the additional programming that I've done with my friend Spencer to add to the song. Now there's quite a lot of it, and it's not necessarily all meant to be used. My goal in these early stages is to kind of have a lot of different things available. As you can see, there are 3 different kick drum sounds. They're all doing not necessarily playing the whole song the same way. That you can see in this part of the arrangement where this kick 1 goes away, but they have 3 different sounds to blend and use with. The intention is to record drums to this song again. So we just have all of these elements, and there's some snaps and snare samples and just various percussive elements. Most of this stuff, though, and I'm just going to show you this in a minute, most of this stuff is playing, especially the keyboards, and there's 1 electric guitar part that I've added and a slide, and they're basically playing the same thing, and they're doubling something Graham already did in the original version. It's just to add texture and layers to sort of fill out the production and the approach in a little bit different way, and kind of give it a different bit of texture, and allow me to sort of shift the genre context a little bit, if that's a desired thing. Once I engage Graham with this, and we sort of talk about what some of my vision is for it and how he feels about that, and where we can find a way to shape the song a little bit differently. There's some Mellotron string pads and different synthesizers in here, and they underpin and support the stuff that's already going on. Now, as we listen to it, you will hear some things happening rhythmically and melodically that aren't in the original demo, but nothing. I haven't done anything that radically changes the intention of the original song. This is just to try to be able to give us a bit of context, like I said, to shift where the song can go. And we'll get into a couple thoughts about what I have in terms of some things I think we can do in the verses to get away from some of the rock guitar that plays throughout the whole song, and my goal is not necessarily to make the song less rock, but it's to make it feel a little bit more updated in terms of what a rock song might be. Of course, this is something that I'm going to talk to Graham about, who is the artist in this particular case, and you'll get to see a little bit of that as we progress the song and start recording on it. So let me just talk a little bit about a few things that I see in the demo. I haven't had an intimate conversation with Graham about this, but I see I have some stereo drum tracks. There's a basic drum pattern here. Let me play that for you. That plays the song. So I'm guessing that that's some programming that was done. I could be wrong, but my goal would be I'm going to have Chase come in and record drums to this. There's a little bit of a loop feel to it, which is very cool. I like it, but I'd kind of like the drums to have a little bit more of a performance feel. We may end up using part of this original drum stem for a kick sample or snare sample. I might borrow from it. We might use it for a section and not use the newly recorded drums. It's just a lot of options. So, and I just kind of wanted to walk you through some of this stuff. Then there's an extra drum part that plays in the pre-chorus here, which essentially is the tom fill that he's added in. and then we have cymbal crashes. So I mean, something like cymbal crashes, this track, we'll probably just continue. We probably continue to use that because I didn't add any additional ones in the pre-production programming. So here's, we have the guitar tracks. All of these are guitar tracks, and then this last one here is an acoustic guitar. Then we have 2 keyboard tracks here, organ and piano, and then there's the lead vocal. The double for the chorus is this one, and then we have the background vocals here. And then so that's where we leave off on all the demo stems. And then this stuff right here, then you can see I've got it labeled in the comments. It says demo, so we can easily identify. And then ST, that's Spencer's initials. He's the source for a lot of that, or he is the source for that. And so now what I'd like to do is I'd like to play the mix again, and I'm going to play it with the pre-production stuff, so you can hear the difference of the additions and kind of get a feel for what I'm talking about in terms of you can hear the layers and the support that the original is getting, but it doesn't sound like a massively different song. And then I'll turn the demo mix down, and then the programming will become it'll become more apparent, and then we'll talk about some arrangement ideas I have to start to progress this thing, and what we might take. And in doing that, we're probably going to be looking to take some things out of the original, and then we're going to we'll thin out some of the programming. And yeah, we'll just get into that. I'll explain some of that stuff as we get into it. So here is the mix with the programming in it. And I haven't really, everything is balanced as we set it up in the programming stage. I'll probably rebalance it more as things go on, and I decide what we're definitely using and how much of it we want to use, how much of it we want to hear, because some of the programming stuff is really just going to create an additional texture, like the way that you might record, anything as an additional layer during the production and recording phase. I just like to have a little bit of this going into it, and I'll sort of show you why in a minute. So let's just listen to this. Okay, so what we're hearing is there's no hi-hat that's been added in the programming. It's just like a very basic reinforcement of some of the kick pattern. The backbeat snares are reinforced with some hits and electronic snare. It's just kind of in the same way that you'd use a sample, and then because of the sound of some of these things, like this electronic snare, it's just going to give the drum kit in the end result a little bit of a cool texture. Something you might do, something that's often done after the fact. I like to do it before, just because as we strip this down to where we're going to re-record the drums and we're going to redo the bass and the guitars, that some of this stuff already exists. It's fun to play to. It helps influence how the musicians are going to interact with the track, and certainly if you have things like it doesn't have it, but if we were to have, if we knew in the end result we desired to have a tambourine or a shaker in the chorus, having that pattern established before the drummer plays, as opposed to doing it after, the drummer is going to be less inclined to maybe want to play some of that rhythm, and fill that stuff in, and want to feel that right from the start. What are some other things? I mean, like when we were listening, you can really hear these chill keys. This part, pretty pronounced coming through. Right? Oh, there's just hit too. You know, just some additions. So let's now, what this enables us to do, and having the stems is really an awesome thing too, because now we can listen to the song with just the programming and just the vocals, and now this is going to sound kind of almost like a remix.
Holding on to what I've done, I won't carry the weight of my crimes, yeah.
I think it's pretty cool, and you know, having this stuff underneath the more rock instrumentation, I think it adds a cool modern texture and feel to it. I think it's, you know, you don't have to use it overtly, but it definitely doesn't sound like a rock record recorded in the 70s. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean, I love those records, and I love making records now that sound like that. But I think that this is a possibility for this song, and I kind of just want to show you this because I use this technique quite a lot. Even if I always try to, unless, you know, we talked about the Ford Terrell song that was live off the floor. It didn't have this type of aesthetic. It wasn't recorded to a click. Well, I'm not going to do all this. This kind of work is not going to be part of the pre-production phase because that's a different kind of record. But a lot of times I do this, and you know, sometimes it doesn't get very little of it gets used. It's just nice to have the possibility and to be able to have the things available. And you know, again, I'll just stress that this is a reason that you should be making work tapes along the way, so that you can experiment and try these things along the way. You know, typically we haven't done it yet, but we will put all of the programmed elements in Pro Tools. It's called Elastic Audio, and what that will allow us to do, and what Elastic Audio is it puts all the audio files in a state where if I change the tempo, all of the audio files will conform, and they'll move. They'll, you know, either stretch or compress to that tempo change. I know things. I know there's some DAWs that sort of are kind of in that state the whole time, where it's much easier to do tempo changes and have everything conform to it. Pro Tools, because we're trying to protect the integrity, I guess, of the sound. Not having stuff in Elastic Audio at a certain point is going to be a good thing for us, because the sound is better if it's not in that state of being able to be adjusted that way. So these pre-production sounds that Spencer has supplied me with. Now we work in conjunction. I kind of sometimes I sit with him and do it. Most of the time I send him the demo of the song, and and if we can get stems, we like to have that, because that allows us to turn off certain elements of the demo, or be able to solo it and isolate and say what is the bass doing exactly here or there, and then sort of create this stuff. I mean, these sample libraries, Spencer uses Logic, so there's some of the sounds that come with Logic. There's native instruments. There's the That Sound drum sample library. Keyscape is used. Some of the keyboard sounds are from Keyscape. It's really a kind of a vast collection of sounds, but Logic or Ableton, it just depends. Some I don't. Spencer doesn't do. He's not the only person I use for this. He's the one I use in the majority, but it's different for different people. Some couple people use Ableton, couple people use Pro Tools. I primarily use Pro Tools. I use Logic a little bit, but all these, That Sound or Native Instruments, Keyscape, all of those, sort of third-party sound libraries and sample libraries work with all of these platforms. So it's just kind of really what you're most comfortable with in working with in the session. And I've just been such a long time Pro Tools user. It's just kind of what makes the most sense for me. I have made a bunch of records in Logic, but it's been a little while. The sounds are it's pretty much done all in the box. There's a little bit. I mean, this acoustic slide that I asked him to record. That obviously has to be done with a microphone, but you can hear that it's been printed with. There's a little bit of overdrive on it, and there's a little bit of reverb on it. And this part, and I asked him to please give me an electric guitar and an acoustic slide guitar. To double what Graham is doing here. I think it's on the thick guitar. Let's see. So that's kind of a very dry, distorted, very rock sound, and so let's play that with the slide part first. Now you can hear that they're not exactly doing the same thing, and that may be an issue, and it may not be an issue. We may change the leading part that Graham has done to conform more to the slide part, or we might have to redo or somehow adjust what the slide part is doing. A lot of times I will also sort of say that when you're doubling parts like that, sometimes it can be a bit messy or a bit difficult to play every single note of the part that you're doubling, and you just sort of need to. That's part of arranging. You just need to figure out what's going to give me the texture and the sound and reinforce the melody or the riff in a way that gives it that extra dimension. We'll listen again, and you're going to hear some of these things I was just talking about. But it's kind of cool the dimension and space that it gives the existing electric guitar. And I'm going to actually turn the slide down just a little bit. Versus. And in the context of the track, the discrepancies between the two parts might be fine. It's kind of hard to tell right now. Let's see what adding this electric guitar is. And so this electric guitar, it's a cleaner electric guitar, and it's got a lot of reverb on it. It's a little bit more in agreement. And it's not playing all the sort of walking notes in the main part, but it's playing it's more of a skeletal version of the part. But the clarity and the reverb that it adds is kind of a cool thing in the track.